collective collapse left them with only a scant hope of reaching the playoffs. Dallas had been beaten in the past, but they rarely had beaten themselves. During the first half of 1971, the Cowboys made the brutal mistakes of also-rans, not champions. It now appeared that the bright glow of September and the promise of a Super Bowl championship were just fool's gold in their search for El Dorado. 1971, a sweet season gone sour. The second season of the Dallas Cowboys spawned a desperate fight to the finish. They almost had to win all their games to survive in the East. 7 games remained. They would play 2 with the Cardinals and 1 each with the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington Redskins, the Los Angeles Rams, the New York Jets, and the New York Giants. At quarterback, a choice was made. Roger Staubach replaced Craig Morton. Against the Cardinals, Staubach's unscheduled flights left defenders dizzy as Dallas came from behind to win, 16-13. A stubborn defense blended with a conservative offense combined to defeat the Eagles as Dallas won its second straight, 20-7. And then there were 2. The Redskins' grasp on first place was just a half game, and the Cowboys came to crush this Cinderella team. Like 2 heavyweights, they slugged it out for 60 minutes. Both teams left each other bruised and battered, but through the stretch, it was the doomsday defense that was dominant. Finally, the war of nerves was settled by Staubach, who led the Cowboys on a furious race to glory. Thanksgiving Day brought the Los Angeles Rams, and Dallas ran on the rookie legs of Isaac Thomas. Thomas's 89-yard touchdown provided the margin of victory as the Cowboys swept to their fourth straight win, 28-21. Against the New York Jets, Thomas's touchdown in the opening kickoff set the tone for a fantastic flurry during the final three games. Dallas scored an incredible 125 points in these three games and clinched a championship. Using every weapon in their bottomless bag of tricks, the Cowboys overwhelmed the Jets. The next week in Yankee Stadium, Alex Webster witnessed the thorough destruction of his Giants. While the Cowboys' mammoth running backs, Calvin Hill and Dwayne Thomas, tore through the guts of the Giants' defense, Roger Staubach twice unleashed a tried and true Cowboy tradition, the bomb to Bob Hayes. After the 42-14 romp over New York, Dallas met the Cardinals in the season's final game. The Cowboys blazed to a championship on the flashing feet of Dwayne Thomas, who scored 4 touchdowns in the 31-12 rout of St. Louis. From the chaos at midseason, the Cowboys had clawed back to win 7 straight games. The spirit came from their offense, defense, and specialty teams, from kickers Mike Clark and Tony Fritsch and punter Ron Whitby. 40 men, primed and tuned for the championship series. The dealer of the Cowboys' 7-game shuffle to the playoffs was Roger Staubach. Raw in experience but ripe in leadership, Staubach assumed command of Tom Landry's intricate offense. The heart of the Dallas attack was its running game. There was number 32, Walt Garrison, who used his body to billy club tacklers on his runs up the middle. Like Garrison, number 35, Calvin Hill, was a body beater. At 6'4" and 230 pounds, Hill was a forbidding figure to a cornerback in the open field. When injuries robbed Hill of a half-season's worth of games, Dallas had multi-talented Dwayne Thomas to replace him. Thomas was a resourceful runner who never hurried but flowed along on silky strides and then evaporated through the secondary. The other runner in the Dallas backfield was Roger Staubach. A sixth sense told him when to abandon the pocket and bust out on planned runs that withered defenses. For running under the rainbows, there was Bob Hayes. Total concentration, sure touch, and sprinter speed has made Hayes a finished receiver. The Cowboy offense, pro football's pinball machine, lighting up scoreboards for 406 points in 1971.
I'm Steve Garvey, and
In Minnesota, the Cowboys plundered the purple with a defense that greedily glad-handed every Viking mistake. The defense bent the Vikings' will. Then the offensive line caved in the purple gang, and Dwayne Thomas ran through the breach. Thomas's touchdown, 2 Mike Clark field goals, and Staubach's scoring strike to Hayes in the clutch gave Dallas 20 big points. But in the end, it was their defense that did in the Minnesota Vikings. After their 20-12 victory over the Vikings, Dallas came in from the cold and met San Francisco. In the first half of the NFC Championship, the Cowboy offense turned stale and was led to slaughter. But it was another day for the defense, and they played flawless football. The turning point came when John Brody sought out Ken Willard, but found the looming specter of George Andre instead. Calvin Hill converted the turnover into a touchdown, and then Roger Staubach cut through the 49er defense with a series of bold strokes. The 14-3 triumph was the last stepping stone to their appointment with destiny in Super Bowl VI. In New Orleans, the Cowboys met the Miami Dolphins and played what many called a perfect game. On defense, they came and crushed, hit and hounded, and never allowed Dolphin runners a slice of freedom. On offense, Roger Staubach's leadership was never more evident as he passed the Cowboys to their first score. In the first half, Miami buckled. In the second half, they were buried as Staubach sent Garrison, Thomas, and Hill through holes as broad as a boulevard. Dwayne Thomas scored the second touchdown, and Mike Ditka the third, as Dallas won this super slaughter 24-3. For Dallas, 1971 was the year that the big lie died. After years of climbing, they had reached the summit of their sport.
Football has been around since 1920, almost 6 full decades, since George Halas and 12